Hello and welcome to The Gist. I am your host, Chris Vetrano, and I'm here every week to break down all the things happening in pop culture. And today we have a special guest joining me for the conversation. He's a multi-talented actor, singer, and musician who is currently starring in Freeform's newest season of the popular series Cruel Summer. Please welcome Braeden De La Garza. Hey, Braeden.
Hi,
How's it going?
it's good. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks so much for doing this today.
Yeah, for sure.
So you just joined Freeform's popular season or series. It's the second season of Cruel Summer.
Yeah.
Huge hit. Tell us a little bit about your role and what we can expect from you this season.
Yeah, so I play Brent Chambers, and I'm part of the Chambers family, which is kind of this wealthy, powerful family in town. And my younger brother Luke, he's the main protagonist of the series, and or the male protagonist, and he's kind of caught up in a love triangle between his childhood best friend and then a foreign exchange student that comes to stay with her. And so my role in all of it is I'm just kind of the arrogant older brother who I pop in here and there just to kind of almost bully all the younger kids. But then as you see the season go on, I don't want to spoil anything or get into it too much, but you really start to get to see my character develop and show a lot of depth, and you get to see more of who he really is.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand there might be some twists coming from your
Yeah.
character. So people have to tune in to find out more about that.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
so tell me a little bit about, because obviously this was such a wildly popular show for Freeform in their first season, ensemble cast. What was it like kind of joining in the second season with this cast?
Yeah, so it was really interesting, because season one was so incredible and so successful that I think all of the cast, because we were all new to the series, it was a big jump into a big pool because we were kind of having to live up to the expectations of season one, but we all kind of banded together and relied on each other, and I really do think that season two is just as good, if not better, than season one.
Yeah, and I heard another interview that you did that you guys have a group text and you guys are
Yeah,
still in contact and
we
it's
do.
like friends.
Yeah, we today an episode is airing, and we were texting in there just a bit ago because we're all gonna meet up and kind of have a watch party for it.
Nice, nice. So staying in touch long after you guys wrapped.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's we wrapped in September and it's now mid June, so I mean
Hmm.
it's been months and we're still pretty close.
Yeah, and so the genre of this kind of like teen, mainly teen focused
Hmm.
series, was there one for you growing up that you watched or that you've drawn kind of inspiration from to kind of put yourself in this world?
Yeah, I think one that I didn't keep up with it for that long, but I draw a lot of similarities to shows like Riverdale,
Hmm.
because it's a young adult drama and it can be cheesy at times, but it's entertaining all the time. And another one that a lot of people have been comparing our show to is Pretty Little Liars, and
Hmm.
I know how successful that show was. It's just entertaining young adult television.
Yeah,
It keeps you on the edge of your seat and it makes you want to watch more.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're so formative too for people growing up in that like
Yeah,
age range. I mean, I watched several of them as I was growing up. The OC was
yeah,
kind of like one that I really got into.
yeah,
And obviously those characters go on and we still like see them in memes and other things. And so
yeah,
they really become like part of pop culture, which is very cool, I'm sure, to be a
yeah,
part of
for
something like
sure.
that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like just seeing memes and like gifs of each other already has been really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that in your sort of debut, bonjour became kind of your tagline.
Yeah, yeah. Even I got some texts that night from a lot of the executive producers and the showrunner, and they all opened their texts of congratulations with bonjour. So that's
Yeah.
that's kind of become my thing.
Yeah, nice. Well, I know that you also grew up in an entertainment-minded family.
Hmm.
Demi Lovato is your cousin. Were you guys
Hmm.
close? And was her success, was that sort of formative for you in terms of wanting to get involved in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting because you would think, it would be like kind of a catalyst for it, but I mean, it's kind of the relationship that anyone has with their cousin.
Hmm.
It's like I see him at holidays, and they lived in another state. They were in California and I was in Dallas. And so it kind of was always just like a cool separate thing that was there. Um, but my mom's a teacher, and my dad is in the car business. And so it was always interesting to kind of have like a benchmark of what success looked like.
Hmm.
But there was never like a bridge for me. So it was kind of interesting to figure it out on my own. And I would be able to reach out every once in a while. And just I remember when I did my first series, it was kind of like the first time I'd ever really talked to anyone in the family about anything entertainment related. And I just called her and I asked her, how do I deal with just like the anxiety that I was feeling about going to do this big project. And she was really helpful and talked me through it, and calm my nerves. But yeah, I just think it's interesting. Everyone thinks that it's like this, we're some powerhouse like entertainment family. We're all doing monologues for each other every night. But I really like. I grew up with a pretty normal household, and it was always kind of separate from me, which was interesting to see them at holidays. But other than that, it was hearing about my mom's teaching.
Yeah. So what was it for you that made you kind of want to pursue this life?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I just remember being like, one thing that me and my mom used to do when I was a kid is we would like just sit, me, my mom, and my sister in bed and watch like her shows that she liked to watch. And
Hmm.
it was like Army Wives, I remember, was one that she really loved.
Hmm.
And I didn't care much about it until I saw like, I was probably 8 or 7 or 8, and I saw like a 7 or 8 year old in the show, and it just like struck a chord with me that like someone my age is doing that on screen, and it's something that I could do. And it just clicked one day that like that person is saying words that aren't theirs. They're playing a character, they're not being themselves, and they get to be on TV, and they're doing it well. And it just kind of drew me in. And so I started from there, and I did middle school theater and high school theater, and everything up onto to where I am now.
Yeah. So you just kind of one day said, watching Army Wives in bed, you just looked at mom
Yeah,
and said, I need to be that kid. I need to be on screen.
exactly. It was just kind of like, that's cool. I want to do that. And I mean, of course, my mom at first was like, "Oh yeah, sure, that's sure you do." But I really started to be serious about it, and I never wavered.
Yeah.
When it came to what I wanted to do.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because you mentioned kind of like what your parents did, and the sort of juxtaposition of what
Hmm.
was going on with Demi. And a lot of times, like, I do think people assume that, especially, aunt and uncle or siblings having like this
Hmm.
very successful child is like, a lot of parents become their own sort of stage parents
Yeah,
of their kids, and like, I want that for my kid, and I want to like see my
yeah.
kid do something really successful. And it sounds like you truly just wanted to do this on your own and
Yeah,
pursue it.
for sure. And I'm very prideful that I kind of did it all on my own, and it was no fault of my parents or anything like that. It was just they didn't really know. I mean, like I said, my mom's a teacher and my dad's in the car business, so they didn't really have any idea on how to help me down that path. So a lot of it was, when I was in high school, I would just like scour Facebook casting groups and seek out any auditions for anything I could find. Like I somewhere out there in the world is my first ever acting job, where I was
Hmm.
an extra in a bike shop commercial in Austin, Texas.
Nice.
And I did that for years. Like 2 or 3 years, I was just driving to Austin and any weird little shoots that I could find, until I did a movie, or I had like two lines on a movie that happened to shoot in Dallas, which never happens. And then
Hmm.
from there, I met a guy, he's a really cool guy named Joel Michael. He was also in that movie, and he introduced me to my reps because he just thought I had a good look and was a good actor. And so it all kind of was just born out of me really wanting to do it and trying to find any way that I could to do it. And even still, my parents are kind of just like, they're along for the ride. Like I flew them out to come to the Cruel Summer premiere, and it was their first time doing anything like that. And they think it's all really cool, but half the time they don't know what's going on, which is really, really funny.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very different, like, too, when you're there at a premiere and any kind of like those kind of situations. It's like, you start to really see the peek behind the curtain, and it's not
Yeah.
at all what it looks like on the
No.
paparazzi shots. And all of a sudden you're like, I feel even more confused because I kind of thought I knew it was what I was walking into, and it's nothing like that.
Yeah, for sure. I remember my parents were surprised at how small a red carpet really is. Like, I mean, it's just a little box most of
Yeah.
the time, and you answer questions. So that was really funny for them to get to see that for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, beyond even just the acting though, I know you sing, you play guitar, piano, drums, bass, ukulele, and harmonica. I mean, I don't know, like you must have endless amounts of time to learn all of that. But like where does all of the musical side of this come, or is it all kind of together?
Yeah, it's kind of another thing where I remember specifically when I was maybe 4 or 5, my grandmother had a piano in her house, and her and my mom were listening to Amazing Grace in the living room. I think it might have been like American Idol or something.
Hmm.
And I was over at the piano and I just started picking out the notes. And my mom came over and freaked out because she thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then since then, I've kind of just always had a natural affinity for music. Like I can, and I have like all those instruments that you listed, and I can play them, but I'm not saying I'm an expert at any of them. You know, I don't know
Hmm.
how to read music. I don't know anything about music theory or anything like that. It's just I think I just have kind of a God given ability to be able to pick up an instrument and figure out how to play it, which is really interesting because I really genuinely have no real interest in like releasing music or becoming a music artist as a career. Like that's acting for me.
Okay.
Um, but it's completely just like a hobby. Like I write music and I produce it and I just make it and it's just going to sit on my computer for me to listen to for fun, probably because it's just I don't know. And my brain is just completely separated for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, it does feel sometimes like it should be separate, like
Hmm.
especially, I mean, unless you're, able to kind of do musical, you said you did musical theater, like if you got
Yeah.
some kind of like acting gig that also incorporated music, that sounds
Yeah,
like
for
that might be
sure.
right up your alley.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but you also, I know when you work on your music, you like produce and master it all yourselves. You
Hmm.
really clearly have some kind of passion for just like learning how to do things and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
tackling that. Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of it, I mean, that's what playing instruments is, figuring out how to best make music on each one and so it definitely kind of presents itself as a challenge and I think that is what I really like about it.
Yeah. No, and you mentioned in talking kind of about how you came to acting is that you feel pride about that you did it all yourself, and so I
Yeah.
imagine that that is like what also gives you this pride of like picking up a guitar and learning to play it
Yeah,
or piano and just
exactly.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you already answered the question is that you're not planning to release any music more widely, but you love music and you
Yeah,
do
I
so
love
much
it.
of
And
it.
I'm never going to say never, maybe one day if I, feel like letting other people hear what's going on, then I'll release something, but I don't have an immediate release schedule right now on
Right.
anything. I'm just, playing music for fun.
Yeah, do you play it for friends or is it truly like this like therapy for you?
There's a couple other musicians I'll play for.
Okay.
Mainly as kind of like this is what I can do. What can you do? Let's trade off secrets and different things. But yeah, most of the time, I mean, there's probably like 5 or 6 people in the whole world that have heard any of the music that I've made, and I've made a lot. So it's just kind of a close to the vest kind of thing for right now.
Yeah. So whether it's music or maybe in acting, like who or what are your influences?
I think my biggest influence, and it's a music one overall, is Paul McCartney. I think Paul
Hmm.
McCartney is the coolest person that's ever walked the earth.
Yeah.
I have a wall in my apartment right over there that is a Paul McCartney wall. I just think he's like it overall, just in anything ever. I think he's the most talented human that's alive
Mhm.
today. Like, I mean, I cannot talk enough about how much I love Paul McCartney. But I think acting wise, I really like actors who like their thing is just the acting. Like they're not super public in their life, and
Mhm.
like people like an Adrian Brody. Like no one really
Mhm.
talks about Adrian Brody's personal life. He just comes in, he turns in amazing performances, and then he goes back to his life. Same with like Daniel Day-Lewis. I think those
Hmm.
are people who really, they love the craft, and they want to be known for their skill as an actor first and foremost. And I really admire that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, admirable, because I feel like, especially sometimes with like younger people that have come up in the industry or are on some of these like younger shows,
Hmm.
sometimes I think it's also about fame for them more
Yeah,
so than it is the acting. And it's like, you've seen some of, I won't name some of them, but there have been some of those shows
yeah,
where you don't know if they're coming off these shows as because they're like actors or actresses, or if they like want to be musicians, or if they want to do
yeah,
movies, or if they want to just be famous. And
yeah, for
it
sure.
sounds like you really just want to be an actor.
Yeah, I mean, as a young actor, like you said, especially nowadays, you kind of have to have a social media presence, especially when you're starting out. I mean, every actor I know has a team behind them that's wanting them to post and wanting all that kind of stuff. But I mean, the goal, like the dream, would be to just wipe all social medias and
Mm,
really just have like anytime people talk about me, just be like, wow, what a great performance he turned in. And I mean, that's not to say, of course, everyone, it doesn't hurt your ego to have, people giving you likes on Instagram or anything like that. But I very much recognize it's a short term thing. Like
yeah.
it's short term gratification. And, you know, to have a career with longevity, I want to focus on the craft. And that's really what I'm passionate about.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it is tough. I think, we've had a lot of musicians on the series here, and they talk a lot about the social media stuff, and I used to work in the music industry, so it's changed a lot even the last few
Hmm.
years. Is like now labels and stuff won't put any money towards your song unless it like goes viral on TikTok.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like it's crazy that TikTok is like running the music industry, and
Yeah, for
you know
sure.
social media becomes this thing where it truly is like driving what success looks like. And so I imagine for someone like you who's like would rather just wipe it all, it's
Yeah.
probably a bit of like a struggle to kind of find like that balance of like being true to yourself but also trying to build your audience, because that that's a necessary step towards
Yeah.
success.
Exactly. And it's, I will post one, I kind of post out of just like I feel an obligation every month or so to put something up there. But I try to just, put up funny pictures of me and my friends. Like I don't I really have no interest in like being an influencer or like a social media person. Like that just doesn't interest me very much. I
Yeah.
want, like I said, the most interaction with that would be, I would want is like people posting clips of me on a press tour on TikTok. Like
Mhm.
that would be the max if I had it my way. But it's a necessary step as a young actor nowadays. So I get it, and I'll do it until I don't have to anymore.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So obviously you like being in front of the camera and doing the acting stuff. Musically, you like to keep that a little bit more private. Have you ever thought about taking kind of your skills of producing music and playing music and doing more stuff behind the scenes with it?
Yeah, I do think that one thing I would really be interested in is like writing songs for other people. Like I think it would, if I was ever going to release something, and I would want to release like an album of songs that I wrote and like I produce and I master, but it has like my favorite artists singing it and playing the instruments. Like I think that
Yeah.
would be really, really cool. Because that's the part where, I really do enjoy, just writing music. I mean, like I play so many instruments out of a necessity for wanting to build out songs that I've written.
Hmm.
So I think that would be something that I'd be really interested in. I have no idea how to get into that, but being a songwriter would be great. In my, I mean, I'd love to just be anonymous too. Like I don't even have to put my name on it.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do. They just come up with the, pseudonym of for their very different craft, and they operate under that name
Yeah.
for producing, and you don't ever know that it's, I think what was it, Taylor Swift wrote that song with Calvin Harris when they were dating, and no
Hmm.
one, and it was the Rihanna song that Calvin Harris released, but no one knew that Taylor Swift had written it because like she
Yeah.
used some like crazy name. You could just do that. You could be the
Yeah.
next T Swift.
I could.
Um, so cool. So, uh, anyways, back to the acting stuff. What's next? Like, what happens when this season wraps? Do you have kind of plans on where you're going?
Right now, I mean, I've just been auditioning, and I mean, with all the strikes going on, it's been pretty
Tough.
slow. But I think we as an industry are working through it. And I've been doing some other stuff. I just helped a friend out with a short film of his, and I was a first AD, which was the first time I've ever gone to the crew side, which is cool. And yeah, I just came back from Chicago yesterday. I did a comedy show, like an ensemble thing with a friend of mine, and so I've just been kind of keeping myself busy, really,
Yeah.
while I'm auditioning, and hopefully, the next thing that's right for me comes along. And yeah, but for right now, it's just shows coming out. I'm enjoying seeing the reaction to it.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably only a matter of time before you get behind the camera and start directing,
Yeah,
producing, doing all of that
yeah,
based on
that'd be
everything you
great.
pick up. Yeah. Um, well, that's awesome. And then when you said comedy show, was that a stage show?
Yeah, it was my friend Gray. He's on TikTok. He does all these skits, and he really wants to be a director and wants to do bigger scale things. So we all kind of wrote a comedy show. On It was a live stage show, and then we took it to Chicago and performed it for some people. It's just a goofy little show that we all had some free time, so we wanted to put it together. But it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was going to ask, is the stage something that you'd be interested in kind of going back to given your musical theater kind of upbringing?
Yeah, I think I would. I don't know if I would want to do a super meaty musical theater role. I just don't think I'm a good enough singer. I can sing okay, but I don't want to be one of those guys who steps into a Broadway role just because they're a name, but they obviously don't have the voice for it. But
Mm,
I'd love to do a play on Broadway. I think that would be awesome. I really enjoyed getting into just like meteor plays when I was in high school. I directed a play called Red,
mhm.
and it was a two-person play, and it was really just had so much depth, and it was so amazing to direct. And I would love to be in a role like Ken from that play. I mean, it was amazing to see how that turned out, and I would love to jump into something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see kind of how I feel like there's like a resurgence of the stage coming,
Hmm.
especially given you mentioned the writer strike and what's happening with AI and all of the things is it's all kind of wild, and I can't imagine like kind of entering the industry right now with everything that's going on. But I'm wondering if there's going to be sort of this like return to like more stage productions and live
Yeah.
theater because like people will crave that instead of kind of what's happening with this AI stuff.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also like TV especially is kind of in an interesting place right now where I think we've almost kind of oversaturated the market with so much of it, which is why I think a lot of the pullback of the industry kind of happened because we realize
Mhm.
there's so much. Um, and so I think for a lot of actors, especially my age, it's kind of easy to get lost in the mix up of so much content. So I think that we will see a lot of young actors, especially kind of moving towards the stage where it is, a there's less saturation there, and people pay more attention. Olivia Holt, I think
Mhm.
she just went and is on Broadway right now, like from season one of the show, and I think that's incredible. And I think a lot of younger actors will be following suit because it's a cool space to be in, and I think it gives an opportunity to show more of an artistic side, especially for a young actor, because a lot of young adult shows, aren't known for their tendency to bring award winning performances. So I think it's a great place to kind of stretch your wings.
Yeah. Well, maybe the Teen Choice Awards. I don't know. I don't even know if those are still happening these days, but
Yeah,
that was a big award show back in the day. But yes, I understand. And yeah, I mean, because acting is acting, and so you're still putting your talents out there for the world to
yeah,
see. And like we said at the top, this is such a popular series. It really does kind of have that Pretty Little Liars sort of buzz
Hmm.
that it had early on. So it's got to be awesome to be a part of something like that. Um, right now, this season is a couple of episodes into
Hmm.
this season. Um, but tell folks where they can catch it or get caught up on it.
Yeah, so you can catch up on it on Hulu. Right now, as we're shooting this, I think there's 2 episodes out. There'll be 3 by tomorrow, but you can catch up. It'll always be on Hulu the next day after it airs, and then it'll air live at 10 p.m. wherever you are in the country on Freeform on
Nice.
Mondays.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and you were talking about how there's so much content, and part of that is like the streamings, and there's
Hmm.
everybody now has one. I know my TV is like cluttered full of all these
Yeah,
different like apps with it's just like so many shows,
yeah,
so much stuff to watch, and so it's always good to like know where you can find it live, and then also go like find where it lives in the
yeah,
streaming world now these
for
days.
sure.
Well, awesome. Well, I know you're going to run, but tell folks, I know you're not a big social media person, but where can they find you just to stay up to date with everything that you've got going on?
Yeah, you can find me at Braeden De La Garza on all my socials. And like I said, I'm not don't post a whole lot, but I do still post, so you can keep up with me there.
Awesome. And that's all the social platforms, or is
Yeah,
Instagram kind of the primary?
I mean Instagram's probably the most used, but like Twitter and I don't really ever post on TikTok, but I do have one, and you can follow me there.
All right. Well, TikTok's where you got to like start acting and putting these like comedy chops because every time I go on there, I'm like, what do people want to see on here? And I'm like, this is beyond me. I'm not a comedian. So
Yeah,
it's a
for
tough one.
sure. Yeah,
Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I definitely encourage everyone to go check out the new season of Cruel Summer and follow you because you're going to be doing some amazing things given all of the stuff that you just sort of pick up and learn. So
thank
I
you.
can't wait to see what is next for you.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here. And for all of you out there, don't forget to rate and subscribe so that you never miss an episode of The Gist. You can follow me at CM Vetrano, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and you can tune in next week for more from The Gist. Until then, Chris Vetrano and Braeden, we're signing off. Bye.
Bye.